Uh, uh. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
What's up, everybody? It's the Morning Deuce. Last night, I went to, I had a second date with a girl, and so that's what we're going to talk about. So it was at comedy night, which I've talked about before on the podcast that I've been to, go to from time to time, used to go all the time. The first date with this particular girl went very, very well. I enjoyed her. She was good at laughing, pretty honest. Just like a good person, a lot of cool career decisions, seemed to be kind of doing what was making her happy and not getting stuck in anything without kind of just being like, woo, I'm doing what makes me happy, but actually sort of having a plan of knowing what that was. Really kind of cool, interesting first date. And we had talked about comedy and comedians and stuff. It came up, and I had told her, she actually mentioned, she was like, well, I'll have to go to that show because I had told her about the show. So Tuesday night, the night before, I decided, well, I'll go tomorrow and I'll ask her if she wants to come. So I mentioned it to my roommate, and he was like, yo, I think I'm going to go too. And I was like, okay, well, let's get like one other person to go. So there'll be like some of us there, but I don't want like a crew. 'Cause sometimes we go with a lot of people. I was like, I don't need all of, our work friends to go on this. Like, if I'm going to talk to this girl for a second date, like, I don't need it to be a spectacle of like people judging how it's going and all that stuff. I'm not into that. Like, let's just kind of do like the four of us or like five people max, and like people that I can kind of just walk away from who can do their own thing. And so we invite, reach out to another coworker, and I literally said to him, like, hey man, don't like bring the crew or anything, like don't get it moving too much. I'm just thinking like we could go if you're down. So he's in. So Wednesday, I reach out to the woman that I'm hoping to take on a second date, invite her to go, and she basically says, okay, she has something to do before, but she hopes that she can make it and she wants to come. So later in the day, I get something that's like, things are going to run a little late. I'm not sure I'm going to make it on time. And I was like, okay, that's totally fine. Just letting you know, the show's kind of a show up when you want to type thing. So if you want to show up a little later, you don't have to be there right when it opens. And she was like, oh, that makes a difference. I'll come a little later, like once the show has gotten started a little bit. What if I make it at 10:30 or 11? I was like, okay, come. Its show goes till midnight. Like, come then. So I proceed to go a little earlier, and with my two friends, one of which is going to meet me a little bit later there. The other is already there. Turns out one of our work friends had asked him if he was going, and he said yes. And she was like, oh, I want to go too. And he's like, okay. And he did the cardinal sin here. He was like, don't invite everyone from work, or whatever. Dave is trying to take this girl. So I think he wants it to be like a little bit more low key. Well, you should never tell that, I don't think, to another. There's certain people you can't really tell that to. And this one got a little weird because I walked in, and little did we know that she interpreted the don't take people Dave knows, but she had invited a bunch of non-work related people I had met before, one of which I had previously had some romantic interaction with. I arrive at the comedy show to 7 of them there, just rolling up, and just don't think that any of them know, whatever. Just say, hey, what's up? Get to the girl that I've previously spent some time with. She's like, hey, really cool to see you. By the way, we saved you a seat. And I said, what are you talking about? Because they were at a long table. There were some seats there. She had put her bag at a 2-person table that was directly in front of the group of 7 girls and 1 dude, which would soon be 2 dudes, directly in front, facing the stage. she had put her bag so as to reserve the table directly in front of me. This is someone I'd already spent time with. And I'm just going, what is going on? Like, I didn't tell these people this. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. Now I look, there's a table sitting there reserved for 2 people, and they're going to stand behind me and just be like, oh, I thought she was going to be prettier. Or like, oh, I wonder how it's going. Oh, they seem into each other. They don't, like, I was going to be the entertainment if the comedians weren't good. And the girl that was supposed to meet me is coming late. So I would have been sitting there by myself at the beginning of the show with an open seat with all my friends standing behind me as they like wait for her to parade in late. This is not going to work. So I was like, hell no, I'm not taking that seat. Then my buddy comes over and I'm like, what happened? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, they saved a seat for me in front. Like, how did they even know about this? He's like, oh, you must have told them. I was like, I didn't tell anybody anything. You told them that I was going on a date. And they set it up so they could basically grandstand spectate my date. So that was a failure right off the bat. I did not take the spot. I instead kind of got uncomfortable and just like said hello to them all, and then found a couple other friends that were unrelated and watched the beginning of the show with them. They left before the young woman arrived, and I didn't want to go back to the other group of my friends because I felt it would be weird. I'd be answering questions. What happened to your date? Why isn't she here yet? Which I was getting via text message anyway. Like, why isn't she here yet? Is something going wrong? Da-da-da-da-da. So I just didn't want to deal with it. So I'm on the other side of the venue watching the show myself. The girl texts me. She's going to be there between 10:30 and 11. Then she texts me like a picture of a map that shows that it's far away and just the word fuck. And that was it. So I'm thinking like, okay, is she going to bail on me? So I just wrote like, it's not that far, ? And that's it. Don't hear back. Comedy show goes on. The comedy show starts to wind down. We're getting close. My other, friend comes. Getting close to the end of the night. I mostly now have watched 3/4 of the comedy show by myself. The date never shows up. Now the show ends, but I don't want to go over to my friends and admit the fact that the girl stood me up because it's really awkward in front of all of these other people, including one that I've previously had relations with, which is all awkward. So I just didn't man up and just literally watched the comedy show, like drinking a couple beers by myself. Show ends. All this sort of extra people go home. And now the bar is almost empty, and it's me, my roommate, and the other friend that I asked to come. The 3 of us just talking, and me being like, I don't know what happened, showing the text messages to them and being like, I thought we had a really good thing on Monday. Like, I didn't think that this type of vibe would happen. Like, she told me she was going to come in 40 minutes and then show me a picture of the map and then just didn't show up. Like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. Whatever. Then we kind of were just like, I'm over it. We start talking about other things. The bar's winding down. It's like 12:30. It's last call for this bar. And we're just talking. There's 5, 6 people in. I turn and look at the bar, and there is the girl that I was supposed to be on the second date with, talking to a different person altogether. So now I'm like, the person that I didn't think was here, that I watched the show with by myself, is now all of a sudden here. And I was like, that's her. And they were like, you got to be kidding me. Like, she didn't even text you or anything. So she was talking to somebody else, but I couldn't resist just going over and acknowledging the fact that she had showed up. So I just kind of like walked over and was like, hey, like, I'm glad you finally made it. She like hugged me, was very nice, super responsive, definitely a little tipsy, like pretty tipsy. So I was just like, hey, like, I'll let you do your thing, whatever. I just want to let you know, like, I saw you. I didn't even think you were here. And she quickly sort of says bye to him and eventually comes over to me and is basically saying, like, she had partied a little bit before, took a ride here, got here and saw me hanging with my 2 friends, wanted to say hi, but felt like intimidated and nervous to kind of like break into our thing, was already late, sort of didn't want to text me, and was just like gonna let the whole thing go, basically. And at the same time, the Uber driver that had taken her there had followed her into the comedy night and had literally like followed her into the show and just decided to go on his own and then like started talking to her. And then she started to drink more to try to like get the courage up or whatever, even though we'd already met, to go and say hello when I was talking to my other friends. And she basically said it ended up getting her so that she was drinking more and like nervous to break into my little group of 2 people until the very end. And I was like, so were you going to let me just walk out? And she was like, I hadn't completely figured it out yet, but I think so. And I was like, you could have just sent a text message. She was like, then it felt really weird to send a text message because I'd been there for so long. It was just and there was only 3 or 4, there was like 5 people left in the bar. Obviously, if I was looking for you, I would have seen you. It just was very strange. So the whole thing was this very awkward, very strange situation. The Uber driver finally leaves. Her and I end up just like talking a little bit. We actually hit on like a good rapport, laughed a bunch. She was like fairly polite, but I had no idea. Like the whole thing was just very weird to me. And she was like, I know this is strange. Like, I think you're handsome and great. I just got like really shy in the moment seeing you with your friends. I just couldn't like break into that group for whatever. And then this guy was talking to me and we drank a little bit more and I like felt uncomfortable getting away. I don't know. I was like happy. She's like, I was happy you came up to me. I don't even know if any of that's true, other than the fact that she showed up and didn't say hi, and that she knew I was there for a while. She said she like definitely recognized me and saw that I was there before. I have no idea what any of that means. So anyway, I said hello to her. The bar closed. We chit-chatted for a little bit, took a quick walk. I drove her back to her house and kind of just dropped her off and was like, all right, well, this was sort of fun, I guess, kind of. I don't know. Maybe it was. We had a nice conversation on the way back. Like, she was honest, I think, if that's the honest thing that happened. So now I have no idea. I feel like the next time we'd have to meet somewhere closer and earlier and where there is no, like I would pick her up and there's no drinking thing involved heavily beforehand and the shyness and whatnot. I don't know. Do I talk to her again? Like, is this too much? Is this like deal breaking material? Or is it like a little kind of weirdly adorable that she was a little too shy to go up to me? Or like the whole thing is just strange. Does this mean like we never talk again? Do I just kind of treat this as like a whatever happens, I'm not putting any effort in, but like if something works out, it works out? I have no idea what the move is here. I'm just sort of flabbergasted that I completely thought I was stood up on this date and didn't watch any of the comedy night with my friends who had set up a table for me to be like their spectacle. And then yet almost before it was over, the actual girl who was supposed to show up was already there and had been there for a little while, and I just didn't see her, and she didn't make any effort to say hello to me. Very strange. Very, very weird. I don't know. So that's the end of the Deuce. That's parts 1 and 2, because I don't really know what else to say. That's it. Tomorrow we have an awesome interview about sleep and how much you should be getting and the science behind it, which everyone loves to sleep. There's a lot to learn. We don't know a lot about sleep besides the fact you should do it. That'll be good. I'm excited. That's it. Morning Deuce. I'm out.
Don't stay, but lean a little bit closer. See, roses really smell like boo boo boo. Yeah, roses really smell like boo boo boo. I know you like to bang, yo. Don't stay.